You are paying interest on a debt you may never owe. Think about the last time you were truly terrified about something: a meeting, a medical result, a difficult conversation. You lost sleep over it. Your chest felt tight. You played out the worst-case scenario 1,000 times in your head, and then the moment came, and it wasn't that bad. Or maybe it didn't happen at all. But here is the problem: you can never get that time back. The hours you spent trembling in anticipation are gone forever. You suffered twice, once in your imagination and potentially once in reality. This is the trap of anxiety. It tricks you into thinking that worrying is the same thing as preparing. It isn't. Welcome back. Today we are talking about the ultimate enemy of a peaceful life: anxiety. We often think of anxiety as a modern problem caused by smartphones, the news, and the economy. But 2,000 years ago, inside the marble halls of Rome and the Stoas of Greece, the Stoics were fighting the exact same battle. They realized that while we cannot control the world around us, we must master the world inside us. If you feel like your mind is constantly racing, or if you feel held hostage by the what-ifs of the future, this video is for you. We are going to cover 7 Stoic rules to dismantle anxiety, not by ignoring it, but by reasoning it out of existence. But before we get to the rules, we have to be honest about what anxiety is actually doing to you. The tragedy of anxiety isn't just that it feels terrible, though it does. The tragedy is that it steals your life. It acts like a fog that separates you from reality. You might be sitting at dinner with your family, or playing with your kids, or walking in a park, but you aren't really there. You are physically present, but mentally, you are 10 years in the future, fighting a catastrophe that hasn't happened. Seneca, one of the most famous Stoics, noticed this. He saw that people were so afraid of losing their lives that they never actually lived them. He realized that anxiety creates a form of paralysis. We become so afraid of making the wrong move that we make no moves at all. We stagnate, we rot in comfort because we are terrified of the discomfort of the unknown. If you don't fix this, you will wake up one day and realize you spent your entire existence in a waiting room, bracing for impact, waiting for a disaster that never came, while the beautiful, ordinary moments of your life slipped right through your fingers. That is a high price to pay, so let's stop paying it. Here are the 7 rules to reclaim your mind. Rule number 1: the dichotomy of control. This is the foundation. If you get nothing else from this video, get this. Epictetus, who was born a slave and had a crippled leg, taught that there are only 2 categories in life: things up to us and things not up to us. Your anxiety usually comes from confused accounting. You are trying to put things in the up to me column that belong in the not up to me column. You are anxious about what your boss thinks of you. You are anxious about whether the stock market will crash. You are anxious about traffic. Here is the cold truth. You control none of that. You only control your own actions, your own words, and your own character. Imagine you are an archer. You control the bow, the string, your aim, and the moment you release the arrow. Once that arrow leaves the string, you do not control where it lands. A gust of wind could take it. The target could move. If you tie your self-worth to hitting the bullseye, you will be anxious. If you tie your self-worth to how well you aimed, you will be at peace. Focus on the aim, not the target. Rule number 2: stop suffering in imagination. Seneca wrote a letter to his friend Lucilius, who was a constant worrier. He told him, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality. Your brain is a storytelling machine, but when you have anxiety, the genre is always horror. You take a small possibility, like a vague email from a client, and your brain writes a script where you lose the client, then you lose your job, then you lose your house, and you end up alone. You feel the emotional weight of that entire sequence right now. But it's a fantasy. It hasn't happened." The Stoic rule is to separate what is happening from what might happen. If you are not in physical pain right now, and you have a roof over your head right now, then any suffering you feel is being manufactured by your mind. Stop the mental movie. Tell yourself, "I will deal with that bridge if I ever get to it. I am not there yet." Rule number 3: the premeditation of evils. This sounds like the opposite of don't worry, but stay with me. Anxiety thrives on ambiguity. It thrives on the shadowy monster in the closet. We are scared of the unknown something. The Stoics suggested we drag the monster into the light. Instead of running from your worst fears, sit down and stare at them. Ask yourself, what is the absolute worst-case scenario? Let's say you are anxious about a presentation. The worst case, you freeze. You forget your lines. People laugh. You get fired. Then ask, could I survive that? The answer is almost always yes. You would find another job. You would survive the embarrassment. You would still be alive. Once you define the nightmare, it loses its power over you. You realize that even the worst-case scenario is survivable. When you have a plan for the worst, you no longer have to fear it. Rule number 4, the view from above. When we are anxious, we have tunnel vision. Our problems fill our entire field of view. A rude comment from a stranger feels like a tragedy. A delayed flight feels like a disaster. Marcus Aurelius, the emperor of Rome, used this technique to calm himself. He would imagine looking down on himself from the stars. Try it. Visualize yourself sitting in your room. Now zoom out to your house. Now your city. Now the country. Now the Earth, a tiny blue dot in the solar system. From that vantage point, your anxiety about that awkward text message or that deadline seems incredibly small. This isn't meant to make you feel worthless. It's meant to make you feel free. You are a tiny part of a massive, flowing universe. The world does not revolve around you, and that is a relief. You don't have to carry the weight of the cosmos on your shoulders. Rule number 5. Is this moment unbearable? Anxiety is a form of time travel. You are trying to live in next Tuesday, but the Stoics remind us that the past is dead and the future is unborn. You only own the present. Marcus Aurelius asked himself, what is it about this very moment that is unbearable? If you isolate just this second, not the consequences of 5 minutes from now, not the regret of 5 minutes ago, just this second, is it unbearable? Usually the answer is no. You are breathing, you are sitting, you are okay. We break under the weight of life only when we try to carry the burden of the future on top of the burden of the present. Put down the future. It's too heavy for you. Just carry this second. Rule number 6, objective judgment. The Stoics believed that events are neutral. A rainstorm is not bad. It is just water falling from the sky. Bad is the judgment you apply to it because you wanted a picnic. Anxiety lives in your adjectives. Fact, I have a lot of work to do. Anxious judgment, I have a drowning amount of work and I'll never finish and I'm incompetent. Stick to the facts. Strip away the story. When you feel panic rising, talk to yourself like a scientist. Don't say this is a disaster. Say this is a situation that requires a solution. When you remove the judgmental language, you remove the emotional spike, and you can actually solve the problem. Rule number 7, love your fate. This is the advanced level. Most people try to tolerate their fate. The Stoic tries to love it. Anxiety is essentially you arguing with reality. You are saying, I don't want this to be happening. That resistance creates friction, and that friction is anxiety. Amor fati means treating every event as if you chose it. Stuck in traffic? Good. A chance to listen to a podcast or practice patience. Project failed? Good. A chance to learn what doesn't work and start over smarter. When you decide that you will welcome whatever comes, win or lose, you become invincible. You can't be anxious about the future if you have already decided to love whatever the future brings. These rules are not magic pills. You cannot just hear them once, you have to practice them. Your mind has spent years building neural pathways of worry, and it will take work to pave new roads, but the reward is freedom. Freedom from the tyranny of what if. Start with just one rule this week. Maybe it's the dichotomy of control. When you feel that tightness in your chest, stop and ask, is this my arrow, or is this the wind? If you found value in this, if you want to reclaim your peace, help us out by liking this video. It helps this philosophy reach more people who are suffering in silence. And subscribe if you want to walk this path with us. Remember, you are stronger than you think, and the future is not something to fear. It is simply a reality you haven't mastered yet. I'll see you in the next one.